Thank you very much. Hello, I'm Jennifer Jones. Welcome to the programme. The headlines. A solicitor representing people who say they're survivors of paedophile Neil Foden's sexual abuse says they're very upset and very, very angry following a delay in the publication of a report into his offending.
You know, they cooperated with this report. How can it be pulled the day before? It's just not fair. It's re-traumatising people.
Officials say they need to consider legal obligations in the Neil Foden review, but here in Carnarvon there's bitter disappointment over the report's delay.
Also in tonight's programme, a council plans to appeal after a High Court judge quashes its plans to try to clamp down on second homes. We'll have the details. A decade after Wales switched to an opt-out organ donation system, people are urged to confirm their decision to be a donor.
It's been described as a bumper year for apples, with twice as many harvested at this farm in Pembrokeshire, and it's the same across Wales.
I vow to give you my heart and be your partner in life.
And Rachel didn't want to marry without her mum, who has dementia, so we're invited as she and groom Mike exchange their vows at her care home. Good evening. Noswaith dda chi. A decision to delay a report into a convicted paedophile head teacher in North Wales has been described as deeply disappointing. The review into Neil Foden was supposed to have been published today, but was postponed to at the last minute. Foden was jailed for 17 years after being found guilty of sexually abusing 4 girls. A solicitor representing more people who've come forward to say they were also victims says the delay is re-traumatising people. Well, George Hurd is in Carnarvon for us tonight. George.
Yes, it was supposed to be a day of answers. How was Neil Foden, a paedophile head teacher, able to carry out a string of sex abuse attacks? Could he have been prevented, and what lessons need to be learned? But instead, it's been a day of more questions instead, and for those affected, upset and anger. Neil Foden, once one of Wales's most senior head teachers, convicted in July last year of 19 charges of sexually abusing 4 girls over a 4-year period until his arrest in 2023. Before then, he'd been at the helm of Bangor's Ysgol Friars in Gwynedd for more than 2 decades, and for a time, a strategic head at another secondary school in the county. His conviction sparked what is known as a child practice review. It's been a year-long investigation into how this respected head teacher could lead a double life, in the words of the judge at his trial last year, hiding a deep secret, an obsession with teenage girls. Under its terms of reference, the report was to examine Foden's abuse, the culture surrounding him, and decisions that were taken and lessons to be learned. The report was due to be published today in an event hosted by the North Wales Safeguarding Board, the body that commissioned the review. But in an email late yesterday, they said they decided to postpone publishing their findings and cancelled a press conference to discuss the recommendations. Saying it needed to consider legal obligations, the board said it appreciated its decision would be a huge disappointment to all those involved, not least the brave women and children at the heart of the review. It said it would endeavour to provide a revised timetable as soon as possible. But a solicitor representing more individuals who've come forward to say they were also victims of Neil Foden said they felt traumatised by the announcement.
People have been waiting for this report, and it's a stage almost in the healing process. It's a major step where we might have had some answers to what went wrong.
The local education authority, who was responsible for employing Neil Foden, says it's bitterly disappointed by the delay. Cyngor Gwynedd said it had no advance warning, and more than a year after Foden was jailed, it's waiting to act on the recommendations and findings of the review. So now it's very much a waiting game for this report. The North Wales Safeguarding Board says it will give us an update as soon as it can. But of course, for the victims and their families, it's an added weight, it's added distress until we finally get the findings of that review, and they are made public. Jab.
George, thank you very much. George Heard there in Carnarvon. A trial into riots in Ely has heard the mothers of two teenagers who were killed when their bike crashed were stopped by police from seeing their sons' bodies before the violence erupted. 8 people are on trial accused of rioting in Ely and Cardiff in May 2023. Newport Crown Court heard there was 200 hours of police body-worn footage from the riots sparked by the deaths of 16-year-old Kyrie Sullivan and 15-year-old Harvey Evans on Snowdon Road. The council has lost a legal challenge against measures designed to clamp down on the number of second homes. Last year, Cyngor Gwynedd became the first local authority to introduce a requirement for owners to get planning permission to turn a residential property into a second home or holiday let to tackle what's been described as a housing crisis. But campaigners launched a legal challenge, arguing it would devalue homes. Brendan Williams has the details.
Natural beauty in abundance. But according to the council, a chronic shortage of housing for people that grew up here. To try and curb the number of second homes, a rule was introduced to require planning permission to own one. But opponents argued it devalued all homes, making it harder to sell, and launched a legal challenge.
There's no doubt that young people getting on the property ladder is a real issue in Gwynedd, but also the whole of the country. But our issue is that the proper way of doing that wouldn't be to reduce everybody else's house prices. We need to encourage jobs, we need to encourage growth in the community so that people who can have professional jobs and then afford to be able to buy properties.
Gwynedd was the first council to bring in a so-called Article 4 direction under new planning powers. But today a judge said that a report by council officers misled cabinet members before they agreed the policy. He said the impression had been created that all changes of use would be controlled by planners, when in fact the new powers only applied to what are defined as material changes. Although disappointed, the council remains steadfast.
We've been clear our priority is to house local people, Gwynedd local people in their communities, yeah? Article 4 really helps us to do that, so we've been working with the government on leading in Wales on how you do that with holiday homes, how you regulate it. So it's incredibly frustrating and disappointing that this has happened.
Second homes and how to address the housing shortage is not a problem unique to here. It's an issue elsewhere too, particularly on the Welsh coast. Here in Gwynedd, the debate has been bubbling away for many years, and with the council set to appeal today's decision, it's unlikely to get resolved anytime soon. Brendan Williams, BBC Wales Today, Carnarvon.
A mother has described the terrifying wait for a kidney for her 24-year-old son. It's been 10 years since Wales became the first country in the UK to introduce an opt-out system for organ donation. But some experts say that the number of people waiting for a transplant is still too high, as Sarah Davith reports.
Family and Wyn the dog is everything to Carolyn Thomas from Efail Isaf. But in 2020, their world changed after their son, Dan, contracted meningitis, leaving him with chronic kidney failure.
It's quite terrifying. We always assumed that when we found out that Dan needed to have a kidney transplant, my husband and I assumed that we would be able to provide a kidney for him. And that wasn't the case. I've had treatment for cancer. My husband went a long way down the road of having all the tests done, and they found an issue with one of his kidneys, which meant that he can't donate. It's scary. It is quite scary. We're forever positive, and we're pretty sure that something's going to come up. But we in particular are looking for a live donor because of Dan's age. A live donor will give him the best result.
It's been a decade since Wales became the first part of the UK to move to an opt-out system for organ donation, which means that you're presumed to have given your consent to donation unless you register to say otherwise. But despite this change, new figures show that more than 200 people in Wales have died in the last decade while waiting for a transplant, and more than 300 people are currently on the waiting list. You can consent to organ donation by registering or by just doing nothing. But families do have the power to refuse donation even if you didn't opt out. And some experts say that this is causing the problem.
The law is there for deemed consent, but actually our statistics show most of the time since the law's been in, when we're going into conversations where deemed consent could apply, it's only about 50% is being supported by families. So really the thing we need people to do out there is register their decision on the organ donor register. It takes 2 minutes, either online or by the phone, and obviously then speak to your family once you have registered your decision.
So for now, Carolyn and her family are living day by day, but all the while waiting for that life-changing phone call.
He's as cool as a cucumber. He's the least stressed person you would ever meet in your life. He's learned a lot from it. It's made him into a stronger person. So he's quite an inspirational character.
Sarah Dafydd reporting there. This is Wales Today, still to come in the programme.
I vow to give you my heart and be your partner in life.
Bride Rachel didn't want to marry without her mum, who has dementia. So we're invited as she and groom Mike exchange their vows at her care home.
And we're seeing the brighter side of autumn this week. Chilly mornings, warmer afternoons, but with some rain again by the weekend. A full forecast on the way.
The former centre for blind military veterans looks set to become a hospital unit for people with drug and alcohol problems. Blind Vets UK closed its centre in Llandudno earlier this year after 14 years, leading to the loss of 90 jobs. Well, now the charity Adferiad Recovery plans to use the site for short-term care for those with addiction problems. Rob Thomas has more.
Set in large open grounds with views over Llandudno town and bay, this Edwardian building dominates the skyline in the quiet residential area of Craigydon. It was built back in 1902 by Lady Forrester as a facility for sick miners.
And that legacy lives on. It's a condition of use that the building must have a medical purpose. Over the last century and a quarter, it's been a convalescent home, a private medical centre, and from 2011 until this spring, accommodation for blind veterans.
Now the charity Adferiad Recovery hopes to use the building to provide a 40-bed unit where patients with drug and alcohol addictions will stay for periods of up to 2 weeks. Once up and running, the charity says it will also provide 70 jobs, and they're confident that there will be no impact on the local community.
This is not a rehab where people are here for a long period of time and are walking in and out of town. That won't be happening, nor is it a drop-in. So people won't be arriving here casually for treatment. It's a hospital. And for that reason, we are confident people have nothing to worry about. We operate 3 similar centres in Wrexham, Colwyn Bay and Lancashire, and we have no problem whatsoever. We've been doing this for 50 years in North Wales, and we understand how to keep people safe inside and outside of these facilities.
Last night, the charity held a community event to outline to local people what they plan, and there was a mixed response about the proposals.
It's more or less near the residents, and if it's going to be the drugs and things, a lot of them are elderly people. If they're going to feel more vulnerable. That's how it feels.
Yeah, it's an absolutely beautiful building, and it should be used for the community.
I don't agree with it. You know, we've got expensive houses up there, high council tax.
The charity says it recognises the importance of maintaining the listed building to the current high standard and is willing to hold further meetings with local residents. It hopes to open the new centre by the new year.
Football now, and 3 Welsh clubs have reached the last 16 of the EFL Cup for the first time ever. Both Cardiff City and Wrexham won their third-round ties last night to join Swansea City in the fourth-round draw. That'll take place later this evening. Well, Sam Richards has more details now of last night's matches.
After their first slip-up of the season, Cardiff City were looking to get things back on track against a side 2 leagues above them. and took a deserved first-half lead through Joel Colwell. Burnley had made 11 changes from their last Premier League match, and Cardiff were in the mood to capitalise on the weakened side. Callum Robinson doubled the Bluebirds' lead before half-time, finishing off a slick team move. Burnley did reduce the deficit in the second half, but it was Cardiff's night at Turf Moor.
It's a real big buzz. You come from it after the season we had where we finished bottom, they finished top. And in a few months to go from that to beating them quite comfortably, it's a really, really nice change and adds to the positivity that sort of feel around that squad at the moment. You've got a really, really young squad coming in full of future Welsh internationals that bring the connection back to the club again. It's starting to feel a bit more like it's Cardiff's club again, not just a distance team that sort of play in Cardiff that haven't really connected with the crowd.
Cardiff would be joined in the fourth round by Wrexham after a successful night's work at the racecourse.
It's Broadhead!
Record signing Nathan Broadhead opened his account for his new club by bagging both goals in a 2-0 win over Reading. And it means for the first time ever, 3 Welsh clubs have reached the last 16 of the EFL Cup.
The Cup's actually been really good for Wrexham so far because in the league we've seen mixed results slightly, so for us it's been a nice bit of occasional escapism. We've beaten a couple of championship sides, a decent League One side in Reading, and hopefully that can now translate into some better results in the Championship as well.
Swansea secured their place last week with that dramatic last gasp win over Premier League outfit Nottingham Forest.
2-0 down and you think, oh, well, we'll just keep playing and see what we can do. Then you get the goal back and you think 2-1, maybe a chance. You equalise then in extra time and everybody's hearts are going. And then to score that third goal and win the game, well, you can imagine the atmosphere, how everybody felt around the ground, watching on TV, around the city. It was magical.
All 3 sides will find out who they'll face next when the fourth round draw takes place later this evening. The likes of Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City, all possibilities, and the prospect of a Welsh derby will no doubt have crossed fans' minds.
Well, this summer saw record temperatures and farmers say it means there's been a much bigger apple harvest, double the amount last year. Well, our reporter Kay Blethyn is at Clinview Farm in North Pembrokeshire for us tonight. And Kay, it's been described as a bumper year there.
Yes, noswaith dda, Jen. Just to give you an idea, by the end of this season, this farm would have produced 20,000 bottles of apple juice. And you can do the sums, but there's 12 apples in each bottle. There's still apples on the trees behind me, and people are still bringing apples in to be juiced. And it's been the same across Wales and the UK, with a hot, dry summer and climate change resulting in the National Trust reporting that this year's harvest is twice of that last year. And from crumbles to cider, the possibilities are endless, aren't they, what you can do with apples. But here's apple juice being made here at Clinview Farm, and joining me now is owner Jim Bowen. And this farm has been in your family for centuries, since 1750. Has there ever been a year like this?
Not one that I've known. No, last year was so bad with the really wet spring. There was hardly any pollination. The bees struggled. But this year's been the opposite. It's been so dry and so good. The apples have just gone bananas.
And this farm is a big part of the community here in West Wales and gives opportunities also to people with learning difficulties. What's the reaction been to this year's crop?
It's been great. Yeah, we're a care farm. We support people with learning disabilities on the farm. Some folk who live here, other people get involved in the meaningful projects that we do. And we have 250 trees of our own, but we also juice for other people. So we've never wanted to be a disability ghetto where people just get stuck. We want to be, an important part of our community. And last year, well, the year before last, about 150 people brought their apples in to be juiced. And our guys are involved in the picking here and then labelling, delivering, the whole process really, as much as possible. Different people with different abilities doing different things.
And obviously climate change has played a big part in this with the apples this year. But what about the other crops on the farm?
They've struggled. It's been so dry, brassicas are struggling. We irrigate our potatoes, that's okay, but other people who don't, they've struggled as well. Forage crops and silage, they've been really short. It's been so dry. It's been a hard year for farming.
Jim, thanks for your time, but whilst crops are ripening weeks ahead of schedule as we look forward to Halloween, the important thing is that it shouldn't affect too much on the pumpkins before the end of the month.
Yes, we'll find out, I guess, by the end of October. Thank you very much. Kay Blethyn there. Now, Now, a couple went the extra mile today to make sure the mother of the bride could be part of their special day. Rachel and Mike Barry celebrated their wedding with a ceremony and reception at the care home where Rachel's mum, Ruth Ogden, lives. She has dementia and was unable to leave the home, so they decided to bring the wedding to her. Our reporter Yolo Chung went along to witness the happy occasion.
Mr. and Mrs. Mike and Rachel Berry, celebrating their wedding this morning in a rather unique setting. Rachel was determined to have her mum Ruth at the ceremony, and so she asked Foxhunters Care Home in Abergavenny for some help.
Our resident Ruth, her daughter Rachel asked us a couple of weeks ago if she could hold her wedding so that her mum could be part of the wedding atmosphere and everything here, so we agreed, and we're holding the wedding of the care home. We've never held one before, so it's quite exciting. This morning they were all getting ready, putting their hats on, getting all the glory bits ready. Ruth is so happy to see her daughter get married. You can't write it.
The ceremony was conducted by the care home's maintenance manager, Richard, with family, friends and residents all part of the couple's big day. And nobody with a bigger smile than the mother of the bride.
And Ruth, can I just say, you're beautiful today. You look
She
stunning.
really is a
You have
pretty lady.
very well. And we're delighted to have you here. It's very important.
No more.
And to my left.
For Mike and Rachel, the day could not have been done any differently.
It's been such a whirlwind. Hadn't seen the setup before, so walking in, absolutely amazing.
Foxhunters have just made it magical, made it a really special day. We wouldn't have got married if it wasn't able to have Mum by Dad with us.
It's been the focus, definitely.
Yeah.
She seems to have enjoyed her day.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Happy, smiling. What more could you want?
Yeah. And they've done brilliant, getting Mum ready and everything, and been by her side. And the support has been amazing.
Absolutely fantastic.
Rachel's sister-in-law Emma had two crucial roles as the maid of honour and best man.
I'm quite organised and I've been very bossy as well, so trying to get everyone to do their part and do it at the right time. So I've been with every appointment with Rachel, we've done everything together, it's been absolutely fantastic. When she said she was going to do it here, I thought it was a fabulous idea, but it has been very emotional. I'm trying not to cry right now thinking about it. But yeah, Rachel's looked stunning and I've been absolutely over the moon to be part of her special day and having her mum here as well.
It may not have been a traditional wedding venue, but for Mike and Rachel, it was their perfect day.
Yes, and many congratulations to them. Well, it was dry wedding weather for most today, but what's in store for the end of the week? Sue is here.
Jen, thanks very much. Well, after that very wet start to September, a welcome change this week. We're seeing the crisp, brighter side of autumn. Chilly mornings, warmer afternoons, mostly fine and dry with rain holding off until the weekend. So plenty of beautiful blue skies across Wales today. This was the scene in Llanbadrig on Anglesey earlier, but we did see some thicker cloud developing this afternoon, like here in Llanpumsaint in Carmarthenshire. Now, it's mostly fine and dry because high pressure is dominating our weather at the moment. It's centred over Scandinavia, bringing settled conditions. So after some evening sunshine, staying mostly dry and clear overnight, with less cloud than last night, some sea mist, less cold along the coast, but with light winds, we'll see temperatures drop away inland, 3 or 4 Celsius for towns in mid-Wales, but even colder in the countryside. So a chillier start tomorrow, a touch of ground frost, a few mist and fog patches, and then mostly fine and dry with long sunny spells across Wales, light winds, just a little patchy fair weather cloud developing. Top temperatures between 16 Celsius in Conwy and 18 in Cardiff and Monmouthshire, feeling pleasantly warm in the late September sunshine. Now, it's fine and dry for most on Friday, some sunny spells, but a bit more cloud developing later in the day with a southeasterly breeze, similar temperatures in the mid to high teens. So we'll start to see changes into the weekend then. It looks like this cold front will move in off the Atlantic Friday night into Saturday. Still some uncertainty on its exact track, but bringing thicker cloud and some rain. Meanwhile, this area of low pressure to the south, that's the remnants of Hurricane Gabrielle, and that's heading towards Portugal and Spain. So the detail might yet change, but we're likely to see thicker cloud and some rain moving eastwards on Saturday, and then an improving picture through Sunday, turning drier later in the day. So some chilly nights but warmer days for the end of the week. Some rain returning over the weekend. Probably not a huge amount, but a different feel, overcast and cloudier. Not the crisp, chilly autumn days we're experiencing at the moment. The weekend, though, could just be a blip because the outlook is for high pressure to bring more dry, fine, settled weather again next week. Jen.
Yes, let's hope it's a blip, Sue. Thank you very much. Let's get a reminder of our top story tonight. A solicitor representing people who say they're survivors of paedophile Neil Foden's sexual abuse says they're very upset and very, very angry following a delay in the publication of a report into his offending. And that's all from the Wales Today team for now. We'll be back at 10:30. I hope you can join us then. Bye-bye.